set it up.
I don't buy it. This motherfucker should be on Home Improvement. Granted, his devices would kill people, but he should be. He's efficient.
Maybe he had a partner that we'll learn about in the sequel.
And then we'll have him back.
But it actually that was one of the things he wanted to do. He wanted to make sure that not only did every trap work in the real world, but that it could be set up in the amount of time that the killer had before our hero showed up.
And we got to consider the family had to come home on top of that. He had to get this shit done when they were gone.
The family never left.
I can see the killer like actually trying to get the family out. Like he's on the phone. Your toilet is running. You better catch it. And then they leave the house and he's setting up trap.
Yeah, I can hear like the hammer in the background. Honey, what's that noise? I don't know.
So he like tied up the family and then set up all the traps, so they couldn't get out. Okay, I mean I still can't buy that he had the time to set that up, but the other thing is that you said that this isn't torture. I mean, this is full on torture.
No, there's nobody actually. All the death scenes in this are quick and easy.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
No, I have to disagree with you completely, man. There's a guy who tries to get out. That motherfucker gets slung around the house. He gets his toes nailed to the ground.
Oh, but
and then
people get beat up, but
people get their lips sewn together. People get stabbed. I mean,
that happens out on the streets every night. You guys are like, come here, let me see your lips.
It is neighborhood lips.
Barney, listen to me. I told you to stay with me.
But it's not like torture porn. You're not the way it happens is not set up in the same and executed in the same way torture porn is, to where you slowly watch somebody be tortured for a couple of minutes to make the audience squirm.
No, man, these people are tortured mentally and very physically before they're killed, and if people aren't into that, this movie's going to turn them off because it is hard to watch.
I think you're stretching torture in just because, trying to find the way to phrase this properly, but just because people suffer beforehand doesn't make it the same as the type of suffering that you see in torture porn.
Suffering beforehand
it's very
is
different.
Torture.
It's very different than torture porn, though. The whole concept behind it's not like Hostel. It's not like Rob Zombie's films. It's not like the Saw movies, in that you watch someone for 2-3 minutes suffer before they finally expire, in that they're strapped down to a chair and getting a saw taken to them, or any number of these really extreme things. Like, bad things happen to them that are painful and really fucking suck, but it's not done with the same flavor as you see in torture porn. It never lingers on it. It happens, the audience goes, ooh, and then it moves on to whatever's next.
It's like they pull away before they really show you anything? Or?
Well, it's not that they pull away that before. Like he mentioned somebody getting their lips sewn shut, but so you see that for maybe 2 seconds.
But we see this person being abused beforehand. I mean, we see people begging for their lives, being dragged back into a situation they don't want to be in. We see like the tongues being pulled, before they're kind of cut. I mean, it's like, man, this is torture, dude. I mean, I don't know what your definition of torture is, but I'm looking at this. I'm just kind of like,
but you're parsing,
suffering, man. These people
you're
are suffering.
parsing words. No, they are suffering, but it's not torture porn. There's a difference.
Okay, the difference is the word porn?
Watching the difference between watching this and watching Hostel, they're two completely different films.
This argument is starting to become torture.
Yes.
No, I'm just telling you.
I need some porn right now. Can you throw some on?
Yeah, just stick with the torture. Give me some porn right here.
It's a very different feel. It doesn't linger in the same way that it has.
Well, we disagree on that. I mean, look, I'm not going to argue because you and I disagree very greatly on that, and I'm telling people, like, you could tell them differently, but I'm saying for people who feel like me, is like, if seeing people being tortured, people you think don't deserve it before they die, if that's not your thing, then I don't think this movie's going to work for you. I've heard that criticism for some people before I even went into the film, and I have to agree with that. Now, for people who are used to the Saw movies and are complaining about what they become now, this is the movie that you've been looking for because this
Good,
is,
because I was going to ask. I mean, compared to like Saw or even Hostel, I mean, what kind of range as far as just the movie itself? I mean, do I have a good enough story to where I'm going to care about this? Besides the fact that I'm going to go just to see some people just get
this director is so much better than that, man. Like I said, the main thing that separates this director is that he knows how to create suspense and he knows how to create mood. Cool. And the shots are set up to the point where that the tension is created that way. We see people maneuver around each other. The killer's coming around the corner while another guy's going into a closet, and you're thinking to yourself, "Hurry up and get in that closet, man, before he discovers you."
Cool.
And so this director knows what he's doing, man. I mean, I commend him for that. I mean, it like I said, there's a lot of things that people forget to do in horror movies, and the main thing is set up your mood.
Right.
And once you have that mood set up and you stick with it, then you made the biggest first step in your film, and it carries on for that. And I give this movie a matinee for that.
I give this movie a full price. I really, really enjoyed the hell out of it. I've seen it twice already. I'm looking forward to seeing it again. I really enjoy the setup. I think it's very inventive. You haven't seen a film quite like it, not in a long time. And it really does break the mold of what we've been seeing in horror. I like the fact that it gets away from, here's a group of people, let's watch them get picked off one by one. It's a story about a guy who's in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I really like where they go with it. They go to some new places. And I think if you're a horror fan, it's an absolute must see.
All right, I'm in.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at this movie though, and you can't help but wonder, like this collector guy, what happened to him at some point? Like, did he flunk wood shop a whole lot of times? I mean,
I gotta say, Marcus knows where he's going with it. I talked to Marcus about that. We sat down and I'm like, okay, so do you have a place to go with this? He's like, oh yeah, no, I've got the whole thing mapped out. I'm not going to tell you.
So you're telling us this is lending itself off to a sequel.
In fact, what I will share is that the whole reason it's called The Collector is because it was originally titled Midnight Man. And it came down to the fact that the distribution company that ended up picking it up from the Weinsteins said, all right, look, what do you think sounds better, Midnight Man 2 or The Collector 2? And he's like, well, the Collector 2. He's like, all right, we're calling it The Collector.
Yeah, Midnight Man sounds like a superhero.
Midnight Man.
Except it makes total sense when you watch the film, because he's got till midnight to get out of this house and get the rock back to the fence.
Yeah,
and he's got this ticking clock, and the whole time he keeps looking at his watch, and he's like, I got to get the fuck out of here, because not only does he have to get out to save his own life, he has to get out to save the life of his wife to sell this stolen jewelry.
No, so we're not gonna see like The Collector 7 or The Collector 8, are we? I mean, they're gonna end this shit at some point.
Well,
suffer if they
that I don't know. I mean, but that's one of those things that's out of the hands of the creator. Usually, it's owned by the companies that made it. I can tell you that I know that Marcus doesn't want to make 7 or 8 of these.
Yeah. It's not going to turn into Die Hard.
He won't complain.
Not again. How do I keep getting into these goddamn trapped houses?
Yeah. No, but I mean, I'm sure he wouldn't object at the check that would come in every time, because that's the thing is, the people who worked on the original Saw film, every time they make a Saw film, a little money comes in.
Ching.
But I know that's not what he wants.
I know. I don't want to see a Collector number 10 or something. I mean, what's going to happen? He's going to build a birdhouse, and the bird's going to get out the fucking house with traps and shit. End this shit. I mean, it's good as it's going along.
In talking to Marcus, he seemed very firm that he had a really cool story in mind and that he wanted to do some cool things. So that lends me to believe that this thing has a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Okay,
cool.
And before we go, I'll tell you the other thing. I forgot to mention this. What makes this so creepy is that the killer himself is actually so demented that you hate this guy and you are scared of his mind. Like what? Because he's the kind of dude who's so scary. Like, you're not just scared of him, you scared like, what the fuck did he do to this house? I mean, shit, open the refrigerator or flushing the toilet can get you killed.
I mean, they present him as very human and very flawed.
Okay.
Something you normally don't see. Normally they're presented as these superhuman killers, and he's clearly just a fucked up dude, but he's a creepy fucked up dude. There's this moment where he's crouched in the corner, like getting really high hot and bothered, and the shot is just you're watching him, and it's just like ooh,
Hot and bothered,
he's a pervert too. You know, he sets up traps, but he's before you get caught him, he's looking at people making out and shit. You know, it's like a couple comes in, they're like getting ready to have sex, and he's all that.
He was like Cyrus with a mask, creepy as shit.
touching himself with his mouse trap. Ooh.
This fucker's about to fall into his own trap. You know, his dick caught on one of them traps. Oh shit, owie! Like you said. But yeah, no, he's demented, man. Like really, you don't know what the fuck he's done to this house. I mean, you scared to touch the wall. You know, you don't know what's gonna pop out of that shit.
Because I wanted to ask, if he was like an actual slasher, like a Freddy Krueger.
Well, he's
Jason
a slasher.
type,
He's just not. He's just using the house to kill you.
Well, he's not a slasher as much as he's a serial killer.
Yeah,
Serial
exactly.
killer. Okay,
So it's a cool film and a cool idea, man. I hope the best for it. So.